answer some questions. Who's got the first question? Yes, ma'am.
Will we ever know what Hale's first name is?
Will we ever know what Hale's first name is? For those of you who haven't read the book yet, that's kind of a running gag, that her best friend is this guy whose last name is Hale, and he won't tell her what his first name is. Probably eventually. I kind of see maybe if I ever decide, if I decide to do more books, maybe that will be like in the last chapter of the last book, that maybe we find that out. Yes?
Do you even know what his name is?
I know what his name is. Yes. But there are things that I do not tell Kat. Yes.
What's your favorite book and why?
My favorite book of all time, or the favorite book that I've written?
The favorite book that you've written.
That I've written? Ooh, that's a hard one. I love them all in different ways. I think I'm probably most proud of High Society because it's the new one. It's the baby of the bunch. And I'm anxious to see what people think about it. Yes?
When you're writing the spy parts of Gallagher Girl books, do you, already know the terminology and everything?
When I'm writing the spy parts of the Gallagher Girl books, how much of the terminology do I know and how much am I researching? It's kind of a mix. I do like to base as much of the Gallagher Girl books especially in fact as possible. So the classes that they take, the missions that they go on for training ops and stuff, those are a lot of times based on real training ops that covert operatives have to do. And I read a lot of books. I've been to the International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C., which is fabulous. If you're ever in D.C., I highly recommend it. They have a wonderful gift shop attached to the Spy Museum that has a ton of awesome research books, and they have a really great website where they sell research books. So I do a lot of things through things like that, and I try to keep it as based in fact as possible as you can have it when you're writing about a boarding school for teenage girl spies. Yes?
How did you come up with your characters for Gallagher Girl?
How did I come up with the characters? Well, it started with Cammie. And I had heard one time that all of the actors who played James Bond in the James Bond movies would never be allowed to have that job in real life because they're too tall and too handsome. Because real spies, real MI6 operatives are people who blend in. They're chameleons. And so I always wanted to write about a spy who was a chameleon. And I thought that would be awesome for Cammie. And then all the other girls, all of her friends were kind of, I wanted them to be opposites of Cammie in a lot of ways. So Bex is opposite of Cammie in every way that doesn't matter. Whereas Cammie is kind of plain, Bex is very striking. Whereas Cammie is American, Bex is British. Whereas Cammie is white, Bex is of African descent. And so, everybody's opposite and different, but at their core, they're very much alike. And Liz, I knew I wanted to have one of the girls be really super smart, and so she'd gotten in not because she has a spy in the family, but because she tested in essentially. And then Macy just showed up one day. I mean, that's just what Macy would do, though, right? I mean, she just shows up in a limo with a diamond nose stud and combat boots, and she's like, "Take me or leave me." And so that's how the four Gallagher girls kind of came to be. Good question. Yeah.
What are you working on now?
What am I working on now? Well, I'm trying, as I've been touring, I've been trying to work on High Society too. But writing and touring are not necessarily conducive to each other. It's so much easier just to watch the Winter Olympics and lie in bed with room service. So when I get home, I really have to go into kind of full gear to see, I want to spend a month or so trying to get a rough draft of that really down on paper. We'll see how that goes. Yes.
Do you have a special writing room, any kind of techniques you use when you're writing something?
Do I have a special writing room or any techniques? Yes, I have an office in my house, and it's a nice big open area with some French doors so I get fresh air. And I have these big whiteboards on my wall. And I use what they call storyboarding, which is an old screenwriting technique. And so I buy the big Post-its that are about this big. And every time I think of a scene that I want to have in a book, I'll write it on one of the Post-its and stick it on the board. And then I can kind of rearrange the Post-its like a puzzle so that I know what order I want the scenes to come in the book. And I can look at it and say, okay, this is all very interesting, this is all very interesting, this is really boring. Maybe I need to cut that out and move all this up. So I'm very visual that way, and I like to look at it that way. My first drafts are always really, really dirty and ugly, and that's just me sitting down and starting and writing straight through. Then I really get to tinkering with stuff in the later drafts. Yeah. Yes?
Do
Do you want any of your books to become a movie?
Do I want any of my books to become a movie? Every single one of them, because they make lots of money. No, you know, for a while, I Tell You I Love You, but then I'd have to kill you was under option. Walt Disney optioned it way long time ago before the book was even written. Walt Disney optioned it. And then they actually sold the option to Walden Media, and then last summer the option lapsed and I got it back. And people approach us all the time about re-auctioning it. I'm not necessarily in a big hurry to do that because I know what Disney and Walden were trying to do, and they had a very different vision for the project. And so now I've learned to be a little pickier about these things because I've decided, especially for that book, I'd much rather have no movie than a bad movie. You guys agree? Yeah. Even though they do pay you lots of money. It's hard to admit. Now, High Society, as you might have heard, it was recently optioned. In fact, I saw Valerie in San Jose 2 weeks ago. Valerie, was I crazy?
Yes.
Did I have a crazy look in my eye?
She's like, I just found out.
So it was insane. I was on a plane. We'd sent it out to Hollywood to show to producers and stuff on Friday. On Monday, we start getting calls from people that are interested. On Tuesday, they send it to studios. On Wednesday, I'm on a plane to San Jose, and I get off and I have all these messages on my phone. Call us, call us, call us. Stuff's happening, stuff's happening. And then on Thursday, when I was seeing Valerie, they actually, lots of people started bidding on it, and it was insane because I was trying to do signings and trying to go to this conference, and really nice people would be standing there waiting for me to sign their books, and the cell phone would ring, and I'd be like, yeah, I gotta take this by. And so I'd have to go out in the hall and do these negotiations. It was wild. It was insane. But the moral of the story is we ended up optioning that to Warner Brothers. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but the cool thing is that night they actually hired a screenwriter, and the screenwriter started working on it. And so an option means just that. They have the option to make a movie. It doesn't mean they will make a movie. But it's nice in that, you know, this is the first step. This is what has to happen. The first step is the option. The second step is the screenwriter, and we've taken both of those steps within a week. So that's a good sign, and we're crossing our fingers, and maybe something will happen someday, but you never know. I would love to see. I think it's the most cinematic book that I've written so far, and I think it has the potential to be a good movie, and hopefully the people that are working on it right now have that same vision. Yes?
In your mind, when you write a book, does it have it like a movie?
In my mind, when I'm writing a book, is it like a movie? Yes, it's very much like a movie. I see it like a movie, and as I write, I'm trying to kind of transcribe what I'm seeing. Yes?
If they do decide to make your book into a movie, would you try to get a creative license on it?
Would I try to get you mean like to be in charge of creatively over the project?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen so much. That's all you can really hope for is what they call meaningful consultation, which how you quantify meaningful consultation, I don't know. But very, very seldom do authors have anything to say over the movies. Very, very, very seldom. J.K. Rowling probably does, Stephanie Meyer probably does, John Grisham maybe, not me. And so those are just the facts. But you know, all you can really control is who you option it to and what they say they're going to do, and hope that they're not lying. Yes.
Which one of your characters do you think you're most like?
Which of my characters am I most like? I'm probably a hybrid of Kat and Cammy. You know, I'm a lot like both of them in that I grew up in a family business. And I had that sort of epiphany as I was working on High Society that, oh my gosh, I keep writing about girls who are in family businesses. And I grew up on a farm, and so I remember distinctly what it was like to be the only person small enough to climb up in the baler and pull the, you know, when the hay gets clogged, which, by the way, totally dangerous. Like, I'm totally gonna die. But Dad always disconnected the PTO, so I was good. But, so, you know, it's like Kat, you know, when she's 3, hey, honey, all you have to do is climb to that air vent and disable those motion detectors, and Mommy's going to go steal that pretty diamond. You know, so it was just that way. So, yeah, I'm very much like that, only farming and thieving, they're more similar than you'd think. They both need really tiny people sometimes. Yes?
Do you ever get lonely as a job as a writer?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Do I ever get lonely with my job as a writer? And yes, it is, because it's a very solitary profession. Because I spend most of my time in my pajamas talking to imaginary people. And there are 2 types of people who do that, writers and crazy people. And there's a fine line between the 2 most of the time. That is not an exaggeration. It's either do this or be actually institutionalized.